And then you will get one more letting you know we're recording on social media. You should get one more. Maybe not. Well, we won't worry about it. As long as our recording is good, then we are good. Hey everyone, welcome to a personal development series workshop. My name is Rod Alexander and I am program quality director for this year. Listen, I'm excited to bring you all this workshop for today. I think it's something that I think is going to be very beneficial for so many people. Even if you aren't here to see it live, I know you're going to watch this recording back and be like, man, I wish I was there. But either way, you will still be able to get the benefit from the lesson that you're about to hear. Tonight, it's all about facing your fear and doing it anyway. How awesome is that? I know for me, there has been plenty times in my life where I have been afraid. Now, when I was a kid, I used to sing. I used to sing out loud when I was afraid because that helped me get over my fear. And I don't know about you, maybe you all have something that you did when you were afraid. But today we want you all to learn some techniques on how to get over your fears and move ahead with trying whatever it is that you want to do. With that being said, I'm going to introduce our speaker for today, Toastmaster Cassandra Lee. Cassandra, Diva of Dialogue Lee, can recall when a seasoned member of her club asked her to be secretary/treasurer. She thought they had lost their mind for asking her because she had only had 6 months of membership experience at that time. Needless to say, she hesitated to accept the opportunity. However, after some research, she made the decision and commitment on her birthday, July 1st, 1998, to face her fear of leadership by becoming the secretary and treasurer for the ABA Speakeasies in Chicago. And guess what, everyone? She has been a leader in Toastmasters ever since. Her list of leadership roles include, but are not limited to, all 7 club officer roles, area governor, twice serving as division governor, club retention chair, program quality director, the first district director for District 103 Toastmasters, and club sponsor and club member, and a charter member of the award-winning Wrightwood Ashwood Overcomers Toastmasters for the last 17 years. So as you can see, our presenter has a long list of Toastmasters accolades. Please help me welcome to the virtual camera, Toastmaster Cassandra Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Program Quality Director Rod. I appreciate the introduction. Hello, District 44 Toastmasters. Hey, let me know who is in the room. You heard that I've been around for some time. Tell me inside of the chat box, how long have you been around? How long have you been around? Now, Rod mentioned that I've been around since 1998. Yes, and I really did think my member had lost their mind when they asked me to be a club officer 6 months after getting started. Yet, I wasn't aware of the fact that when you ask a brand new member, many times that's how you can get them to stick around as a member. Not sure if that was the ploy of the member who asked, yet I've been here since 1998. And I love this. Anil, thank you for saying you joined 5 years back. Anyone else, how long have you been here? How long have you been around? Have you been around almost 10 years, more than 20 years, only 1 year? I love seeing as you're putting inside of the chat box. And Jennifer, you said exactly 1 year. You celebrated your anniversary today. Today, the anniversary. That's wonderful. Thanks, Eric. You said 3 years. I see some 4 and 5 years that are coming inside of the chat box as well. This is awesome because when I'm going through this material with you for our Face the Fear workshop, you will understand how being around for a moment allows you to experience the fear and move beyond it. Yet you're also going to recognize how doing something new, being asked to take on a leadership role, even encouraging yourself to move into a new direction with your communication and leadership skills can still bring about some of the fear that we work through. And it is not always easy. Oh, Johnny and Amy, thank you. Say joined 6 months ago. The newbies in the house. Yay. So far, I say the newbies in the house because I didn't see anyone else with less than 6 months or less than a year. So thank you so much for sharing that. Each of us on our own journey will find that what we do here in Toastmasters, even when we are feeling the fear, even when we overcome the fear, what we do here in Toastmasters, we can take with us into other arenas. And I would imagine that you face fear in personal situations, in professional situations that you've overcome, and you're still here. Give me inside of the chat box if that would be true. Have you faced fears personally and professionally where you thought you would make it through, but you did? I want you to give me a yes inside of the chat box there. Good. I'm seeing those come in. Someone said every single day. Absolutely. Absolutely. The great thing about what I will share with you today will be an opportunity for us to get some key information to assist with moving beyond the fear. Now, let me go ahead and share with you some of the overview, if you will, of what we will cover. I want you to have some insight to recognize that people become really remarkable when they start thinking that they can do things. When they believe in themselves, they have the first secret of success. So I want this quote to be the foundation for us, for everything that we'll talk about tonight. Become remarkable by believing in your abilities. I know Rod had to do it. I had to do it. Sometimes we don't do it on our own. There are people around us that help us with that. Yet eventually we tap into the idea. So I want you to believe in your success or believe in yourself, which will lead into that success. Now, as we get into our idea for tonight, recognize that part of what we're talking about is not just having people around us that help us to tap into that belief. We actually are tapping into that belief for ourselves. This first segment of our workshop tonight will give us the opportunity to talk about you having self-motivation. We're going to take a look at self-motivation, understand a little bit more about what it is, and I want to find out if at any point, if you've been using it. So let's go ahead and take a deep dive into it. One of my favorite thoughts about self-motivation is the quote, "You got this, you got this." I remember years ago, and I don't have it anymore, yet years ago, I was teaching a workshop for administrative assistants. I had a student in class who heard me saying that phrase, "You got this, you got this." And she had in her car, unbeknownst to me, an affirmation bracelet. And the bracelet said, "You got this." She recognized she was no longer wearing that bracelet. She had put it in her glove compartment and had forgotten about it for months because she no longer needed that encouragement. She had ingrained the thought in her mind. She had positioned herself to have that self-motivation. And when she heard me saying the phrase, she realized then, hey, it's been a few months since I have not needed that physical reminder that I got this. So she gave me the bracelet as a gift. She said, "Cassandra, you confirmed for me that when we're able to believe in ourselves and we use the power of affirmations, we can definitely move beyond our fear." Therefore, when she gave me the gift, and I keep rubbing my wrist because literally when I put the bracelet on, the phrase, "you got this," you could feel each letter with your thumb. And she said what she would do was she would rub her thumb across that bracelet on the days when she would feel fearful. Yet when she told me she was gifting me the bracelet because she no longer needed it, she says the phrase, "you got this," with so much conviction that a bracelet isn't even needed for her anymore. You got this. Each and every one of you here on this call, each and every one of you here that will watch and listen to this program, you got this. You got this as long as you believe that you do. Type inside of the chat box for me, "I got this. I got this." Self-motivation starts with you believing that you got this. Self-motivation is that bracelet, that affirmation, that thought, the faith in yourself. Yet self-motivation also has more of a technical term. I love seeing that you got this come through the chat box. And now I want to share with you a more technical view of the phrase self-motivation. A few years ago, I wrote an article for a blog on self-motivation, and we were having a discussion regarding what the definition actually meant. When we discovered the dictionary.reference.com version of the definition, those of us who were on the committee preparing that article, we recognized, this is an insightful definition, which, as we think more personally about it, we've all been there. Self-motivation is being defined as an initiative to undertake or continue a task or activity without another's prodding or supervision. Self-motivation is an initiative to undertake or continue a task or activity without another's prodding or supervision. As we looked at that definition and we understood the various components of it, we were all able to say, you know what? I've done that at some point. I've taken initiative at some point. I've been able to undertake an activity without somebody supervising me to do that. I've actually done something with initiative where no one needed to prod me. I was able to motivate myself to get it done. We all started to recount stories of us having self-motivation. I'm curious to know if you have an example as well. Here's my question for you. Have you at any point in your personal life, in your professional life, or even in your Toastmasters experience, had a time when you too took the initiative without prodding, where you undertook an activity without supervision? If so, raise your hand using the reaction icon and give us an example of when you demonstrated self-motivation. Yes, Yanni, go ahead for me.
I thought I'm just raising my hand without having to speak. The question was, when is the situation that you are doing a test without being asked or supervised? Definitely, I can give a few examples, but one of the most recent one was at work. So we have like a team, kind of team test, I would say. We have roundtable every month. I'm being accountant. We report our financial and we change the template to one collaboration format that everyone will have to put their thought or their input in, because we have different areas that we have to come together to come to the conclusion. It's a 30 minutes meeting every month. I would say we have about 4 team member, four group in that department that has to explain in that 30 minutes. So I was thinking, what would be the best way to do that? So I created a collaboration Google Sheet for everyone on a monthly basis to get all of the information in, as well as creating a process document on how we would collaborate that. And that has been going on for the past 3 months, and I got an award for that.
That is fantabulous. Look, I'm finding my reaction icon again. I know Zoom calls this ta-da. I actually call that celebrate. Yanni, I am celebrating you because of the initiative you took. And let me double check. Do you pronounce your first name Yanni?
You got it exactly right, Yanni.
Perfect. Yes. Everyone, I can't be the only one using a reaction icon. I saw Rod a moment ago celebrating Yanni as well. Give Yanni some love with whichever reaction icon you want to use. I say she definitely demonstrated her ability to be self-motivated. What I appreciate too, Yanni, about your example is the fact that it was for work within recent times, and you are seeing it still in place. You said 3 months ago, with it still being in place. That's so awesome. Hey, 2 thumbs up to you. I appreciate it. I'm also raising the roof. Hey, thank you for that.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. You are quite welcome. As I mentioned, we all have had moments, whether in our personal lives, in our professional lives, or even in our Toastmasters career, where we have been self-motivated. We've taken on an initiative. We undertook something. We continued a task or an activity without someone supervising us to do it, without prodding us to do it, or without constantly checking in. We were able to do it and get it done. I think my entire career as a Toastmaster member, I've done activities where self-motivation was a part of that process. Now, in a moment, you'll find out that self-motivation isn't always a part of my process. Yet most times, because I'm goal-oriented, I'm action-oriented, self-motivation is something that I do tap into more often than not. Yet we know there are those times when the fear can get in the way. Let's talk about that. Let's get an understanding of fear. Fear is only as deep as the mind allows is one of my favorite quotes. This is a Japanese proverb, and I tell you, in those moments when I'm feeling fearful, I make the attempt to remember all those quotes that can help to get me beyond that moment of fear. Sometimes it works better than others, yet there's still the time when I'm shaking in my boots and the fear is there and I'm not moving and taking on action, and there are things that appear to be holding me back. And I think we all have been there, moments where we've experienced fear. Tell me inside of the chat box, and I want you to share it with me as a number. Here's the question that I have for you. I want you to think back to a fear that you faced, a fear that seemed to stop you in your tracks. How long ago was that for you? Was it 2 days ago? Was it 6 months ago? Was it 5 years ago? What fear have you recently faced that seemed to stop you in your tracks? How long ago was it when you experienced that fear? I want you to put that inside of the chat box for me. Thanks, Eric, for that honest response. 3 days ago, less than 2 weeks ago. Thanks, Chai, for that. And it's Shay, more than likely. Shay, thank you for that. A year ago, thanks, Rod. 2 months ago, Bettina, thank you for that. Thanks, Karen, 5 months ago. Yeah, fear, we know it comes up about 3 months ago for Jennifer. We have those moments where the fear is real. And we have to find a way to get around it. Now, first, let me share with you a partial definition. I want to see, can you guess the full definition here? You'll notice there are 3 spaces that are empty as it comes to this definition of fear. As it relates to the definition of fear, 3 words are missing, and I think you have an idea what those words are. Take a guess, put those words inside of the chat box. I'll pause for about 60 seconds. I'll give you the chance to think. I want you to give your best guess. And the definition is reading right now: fear is an unpleasant, often strong blank caused by blank or an awareness of blank. Fear is an unpleasant, often strong blank caused by blank or awareness of blank. What are the blanks, in your opinion? What are the words that are missing? I'm going to pause for 60 seconds in order to give you the chance to think and to type some responses in the chat box. See you back in about a minute. Fantastic job, everyone. Fantastic job. I love seeing the responses come in. I'm looking at some of the phrases. I love also seeing unknown, unknown. Yeah, taking a good guess at what those phrases are, right? Fear is an unpleasant, often strong blank caused by blank or an awareness of blank. I'll tell you, many of you touched on the phrases. Here they are. Fear is an unpleasant, often strong emotion. Yeah, many of you had that phrase emotion that you put inside of the chat box for me. So thank you for capturing that. Fear is an emotion. It's caused by anticipation or awareness of danger. Some of you had the phrase danger. That word anticipation didn't quite come up yet. You had some really good guesses for that second phrase. Notice with the definition, it's letting us know that fear is caused by anticipation. And I think we've been there. We've been anticipating something. We may have had a healthy version of fear with that anticipation, or it's an awareness of danger. Danger, oh, now that is that word that really makes us feel uncomfortable, because that danger could be real or it could be imagined. It might be a serious life or death danger, or it could be so much stress that we've put on ourselves that we feel as if we're in danger. Yeah, remember that fear is an emotion. Because fear is an emotion, we want to think about how we really are using our thoughts in order to get past that fear. Now, tell me inside of the chat box, and I'm curious to know because I mentioned the phrase our thoughts. I remember someone told me a phrase to help me get around the word fear being such a really tough word or a tough situation to deal with. Meaning, they gave me a phrase that was supposed to help me minimize the fear whenever I was experiencing fear. Do any of you happen to have a way of looking at fear in a more positive way? And if so, give me the raised hand reaction icon, and that way you can have the floor to share verbally. You can also share your comment inside of the chat box. And I'm curious to know, do any of you have a way to view fear in a more positive light as opposed to seeing fear in a negative way? Anyone? And I'm simply scrolling through the chat box. I'm also scrolling through the gallery, making sure I'm not missing any unmuted microphones or hands being raised. Good. Yeah, Jennifer, I see you. Go ahead.
Okay. About 6 weeks ago, I was invited to play my flute at an event, and I was absolutely terrified. And by the way, Toastmasters has helped me with the confidence. It has spilled over into me playing a flute, and I'm grateful for that. But anyway, I was absolutely terrified to play, and I decided to do it anyway. And I'm glad that I did. I did an excellent job, and they sent me a little check. Had I not, then I wouldn't have received a nice little check and candles and all those gifts. And I wouldn't have known how I would have acted in that situation. Terrified, yes, but I went ahead and I said, I'm going to do this. This fear is not going to stop me.
Good. Oh, I love that, Jennifer. Congratulations. Thank you for sharing that story. And I love hearing the conviction in your voice. You said, I was fearful, yet I knew I had to go ahead and do it. And the great thing was you blessed them so much so that they blessed you with the gift of the check and the other gifts. And you now have blessed us with that story. Thank you for sharing that, Jennifer.
Welcome.
Yeah, good. I see others are giving the accolades to Jennifer inside of the chat box as well. And I appreciate her sharing that phrase, her story also. I'm now thinking, though, of a phrase, and I'm wondering if any of you have heard this phrase. I remember years ago, a mentor shared with me that fear really is false evidence appearing real. Any of you ever heard that phrase? If so, give me a thumbs up reaction icon if you've heard that before. False evidence appearing real. Yep, look at these thumbs up that I'm seeing several people acknowledging that you've also heard this phrase too. This particular phrase was shared with me, as I mentioned, by one of my mentors when I was working as an administrative professional. She mentioned that anytime I thought of this phrase, would be a way to help me get beyond the fear. False evidence appearing real. Yet that wasn't always the case for me. I didn't always get beyond that fear. Now, let me pause for a moment. I did see someone with their hand raised, yet I think it got taken down, and I'm not sure who that was. So whoever that was with their hand raised and you wanted to make a comment, you are more than welcome to do so. Thanks, Eric. I see that thumbs up in the chat box. You agree with me on that. False evidence appearing real. I knew the phrase. I understood what she was making the attempt to do was to help me get around that. Yet fear being such a strong emotion, and fear being an emotion that I was dealing with, I didn't always think about this phrase until 2002. October 31st, 2002, to be exact, I received a different phrase to equate with fear, one that's uplifting and empowering, and one that when I am in moments now and I feel the fear, I think about this phrase instead. Tell me how you like this one. Faith eventually attracts resources. Faith eventually attracts resources. My professional speaking mentor gave me that quote on a business card on October 31st, 2002. That was the last day when I worked in corporate America. November 1st, 2002, I started my career as a full-time entrepreneur. I teach professional development classes for clients around the world. I have had my own business since November 1st, 2002. Fear creeped in time to time, but I'll tell you, it was faith eventually attracts resources that gave me the opportunity to start moving mentally around the fear. And here's what my professional mentor said when I received the card. On the front of the card was the phrase F dot, E dot, A dot, R dot, fear. Now I looked at the card and I said, why are you handing me a business card with the word fear on it? His response was, flip it over. And when I flipped it over, that's when I saw the phrase, faith eventually attracts resources. And it made me go, huh. He said, Cassandra, now listen, faith doesn't really have a whole lot to do with your religious affiliation. What it has a lot to do with is the foundational perspective of your belief. When you have faith in your abilities, faith in your knowledge, faith in your experiences, faith in you, the universe will attract to you all the resources you need in order to do the thing that you are fearful of doing. He said, as you go out on this new journey, remember, you can be a full-time entrepreneur as long as you remember faith eventually attracts resources. Talk about wearing a bracelet. Oh, that was a business card I kept in my hip pocket for about 3 years, the first 3 years of being an entrepreneur. So that way, if I was feeling fearful, I could get around that fear with that thought. Which one would you prefer to use? False evidence appearing real, or faith eventually attracts resources? Use the number 1 for faith eventually, or for false evidence appearing real, and use the number 2 for faith eventually attracts resources. Which one resonates with you as one that you could use to literally get around mentally the fear that you're experiencing? That's what I thought. Number 2. Yeah, that's what I thought. I want you to hold on to that thought, that phrase, those words of inspiration as a tool that you can use. Now, it's not the only technique that I'm going to give you tonight, yet it is a real world technique that I still use to this day. Now, am I still fearful from time to time? Yes, I am. However, I do know that I can combine faith eventually attracts resources with other techniques as well. And we will get into those in one moment. Let's now discover the secrets. You understand what self-motivation is, and you have an understanding of what fear is. Yet there is a secret. There is a secret to this idea of self-motivation and being able to face your fear and do things anyway. So let's do this. I'm going to stop the screen share for a moment And I want us to have an opportunity to answer a question. And actually, let me put that question inside of the chat box because I want you to first think about the question. And then, second, I want to give you the opportunity to share it. So here's what I am doing. I am copying and pasting the question. All right. I know it's in all caps. I'm emphasizing this question here. How can self-motivation help you to combat fear? How can self-motivation help you combat fear? That's the question that I want you to think about on your own right now. Take about 30 seconds to get a thought in your mind. And in a moment, I'll give you the opportunity to share that thought. How can self-motivation help you to combat fear? Let me pause for a few seconds in order to give you the opportunity to think. Don't type, just think. I'll give you a moment. Perfect. Thank you for giving those thoughts an opportunity to flow in your mind. I appreciate you thinking about that question. Now that you have an answer or a partial answer formulated, here's the next part to what we're about to do. Rod, if you can do me a favor, I would love to be able to send them into a breakout room with a few partners. And if we can do breakout rooms with partners of at least 4, maybe 5, let's give them a chance to be able to share their answer with one another. And what I want you to do, everyone, once you move into your breakout room, depends upon who you have as a partner. I want you to at least introduce yourself. So if you don't know each other, introduce yourself to one another, yet share with your partners what your answer is to the question, how can self-motivation help you combat fear? See what they say, see how similar it is to your answer, see how different it is from your answer, and you'll only have a few minutes to do that. So Rod, once you are ready, you can let me know and we will move them into the breakout room.
All right. All right, everyone. I'm going to open the breakout rooms. You'll see a message that pops up. It should pop up. If not, it may just automatically throw you in there. But if you do see a message that pops up, please select enter the breakout room. And how
And
long?
we'll keep them in for about 2 minutes. So understand, everyone, you won't have that long, 2 to 3 minutes. And are we controlling the time, or is the Zoom room telling them the time?
No, we're controlling it.
Perfect. All right, 2 to 3 minutes, everyone. Let's say 3. Let's say 3 minutes. You'll have 3. We'll give you a 60-second warning to let you know how much time is remaining, and then we'll bring you back. Yes, share your answer to how can self-motivation help you combat fear. See you back in a few.
All righty.
Rod, I'm not part of the breakout room.
You are. I might have. Yeah. Oh, no, I did not assign you to the right room. Sorry.
It's okay. I can be here too.
All right. You should be able to go in right now. All righty. Uh-oh.
Okay. And my secondary device, I won't move it as long as it's not in there with someone else, just by ourselves.
Okay. And yep, the rooms are even, just about even, so
Okay, good.
it's going good. I love that. I had to write that down. Deeply attracts resources.
Yeah. Something that still live by. It's one of those, it was like an aha moment, like, that seems so common sense, but it's really not. If we stop believing in ourselves, then the universe can't really work in our favor. Universe wants us to believe in ourselves. Yeah, it's that foundational principle of faith. Yeah. I know they're going to say that 3 minutes went by fast.
Always never have enough time in the breakout rooms.
Yeah. Enough time to get them talking, yet enough time to make sure they're not falling asleep.
Well, one of the rooms, I forgot we're live, so I won't say somebody's they're not talking.
Hmm.
They're all muted.
Are they in there by themselves or with one other person, or are there two other people in there as well?
It's 3 people in there. Oh,
Okay, good.
they just started talking. Okay.
Okay, good. Give them the 60-second remaining message.
Okay. You want me to go ahead and do that now?
Yeah. Yeah.
I had it set to 120 seconds.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay.
It's closing. They've got 95 seconds left.
Gotcha. Okay, that works. Gives them a little bit more time than what my timer says here. I'll stop that.
All right, you're slowly coming back. We've got 37 seconds left.
Okay.
I'm gonna talk right up until 1 second.
I don't blame them. Use every second.
All right, everyone is back.
Awesome. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Let me find my reaction icon. That way I can give a round of applause to each of you. That's a round of applause for each of you for working together with your partner for sharing your answer. I'm curious to know, what were some of the comments that you shared with your partners? You can either give me feedback on what you said, you can give me feedback on what your partners may have said to you. You can also give me feedback on anything that resonated with you from the conversation. Who would like to share? Feel free to use that raised hand reaction icon, and that way you'll have the floor. I always like to pause a moment to give those reaction icons a chance to get into the queue. Good. I see Yanni, I see Demetrius. And if anyone else is interested, you just simply raise your hand and you'll get in the queue. Yanni will start us off first, and then Demetrius, I'll have you go next. Yanni, take it away.
Thank you. We didn't have much chance. You guys give us too short of the time. So we have 3 speakers out of the 5 that spoke. The first 2, one of them was me. Actually, have a pretty similar input. We said that the self-motivation actually giving you the path of, like, most of the time, if you're about to do something, the first few minutes is when you are fearful. But as soon as you do it, the rest of them, it will take care of itself. And the other speaker also talked about, if you fear, it's a temporary. But if you don't do it, it is a regret. So Gail, if you want to add more to it, feel free to do so. That is my report.
Great. Thanks, Yanni, for speaking on behalf of the team. Gail, I know she threw the ball to you. If you have anything to add, you're more than welcome to do so right now.
Thank you so much. I believe that Yanni covered everything. You covered it very well, Yanni, and that was the summary. Thank you.
Good. Well, kudos to the team. Yanni, thank you for doing such a great job with the report. Gail, thank you for confirming that she covered everything for the team. And I appreciate the insight that was provided there. Now, let me find out from Demetrius. Demetrius, what did your team say? What was the insight gathered from your team regarding how can self-motivation help you combat fear?
Sure. So it's Karen and I. We were in the group together, and Karen, she provides some really good insight. She was saying that, it's a way of exercising your self-motivation and giving you the power to do what you say you're going to do. And she said it's like the Rocky syndrome, which I thought that was really, really nice. So I thought I was going to steal that. And then I also added that it's that self-motivating and self-talk, that positive self-talk that you kind of play a kind of a trick on your mind, and you kind of imagine yourself as being successful, whatever that fear is, breaking through that fear. And when it actually happens, you're already there. You've already succeeded in your mind, and kind of have the breakthrough. So.
Yes, I love that. Thank you, Demetrius, for you and Karen, for sharing what you and Karen talked about. Karen, thank you so much for sharing with Demetrius your thoughts. And Demetrius, thank you for doing the same. And I appreciate you being the spokesperson as well. I heard a running theme. Between Demetrius and Karen's answers, Yanni, Gail's, and the team of 5 answers. And Eric, I see your comment inside of the chat box. You say, self-motivation causes me to be in action, moving through the fear. Self-motivation causes me to be in action, moving through the fear. Can I let you all in on a secret? The secret for self-motivation and how it can help you to move beyond the fear is that it puts you in action. Eric, you touched on it. Demetrius, you and Karen touched on it. Yanni, you, Gail, and your team touched on it as well. And if any other team out there tonight talked about being in action, you got the secret. Type inside of the chat box for me the phrase action, because that's the primary secret. Self-motivation leads you to be in action. When you can be in action, and I like the way Yanni described it. She said, you'll have that initial fear, yet if you can get beyond that initial fear by being in action, then it'll take care of itself. Action, being in action. 2 or 3 days ago, I was reading scripture, journaling, reading one of my professional development books. I was just having a moment of reading. In the professional development book, one of the quotes that I highlighted for that day said, be decisive, take imperfect action. Action does not need to be perfect. Action simply means that you need to be diligent about doing something in order to make it happen. Now, the scripture for the day made a comment about the word God and go. Scripture that day was also about being in action. And the summary point that the author said was, as Christians, you want to be someone who can be in action because the first 2 words in God are the word go. I was like, OMG, I must write that down because I'm in that space right now where I need to be reminded. It's not so much of the fear and the faith eventually attracts resources. It is about making sure that the action, even though if it's imperfect, that the action is being done. Self-motivation, finding a way to get that jump start, finding a way to move you, to get you through that space of feeling doubtful, uncertain. Action will do it. And even if it's imperfect action still leads you into action. Now, we'll talk about how to make sure you're using certain techniques to really move beyond the self-doubt and the fear. Yet now we understand how self-motivation can help you to combat fear. And that is what? Action. Thank you for putting that phrase inside of the chat box. And again, thank you all so much for sharing with each other. Now, as we are beginning to move into our final component, I want to make certain that you have a little bit more to the conversation regarding fear, self-motivation, being able to move, making certain that you can get results. So I'm ready at this point to share with you the insight regarding the techniques. Now, I mentioned there's a secret, right? We have a secret. And the secret is that action is what's going to get you beyond the fear. So here's a quote that I want you to hold on to. And this quote comes from Dale Carnegie. And he says, inaction breeds doubt and fear. Action breeds confidence and courage. If you want to conquer fear, do not sit at home and think about it. Go out and get busy. Go out and get busy. That almost sounds like a dance song. Go out and get busy. Go out and get busy. Go out and get busy. Okay, maybe that's the Chicago house head side of me coming out right now. Yet you see what's happening, right? This is reminding us about action. Put inside of the chat box for me, get busy. Get busy, because get busy is another phrase for taking action. And that's exactly what I want you to do. You're going to get busy. You will take action. You actually heard that beat. Thank you. Yes, we're going to get busy. We are going to take action because I want to share with you 3 techniques that you can use. These techniques you can use for your personal life, for your professional life, and for your Toastmasters experience as well. Being leaders, stepping into leadership in the club environment, being in leadership at the district level, being in leadership roles for our communities and for our families, for our companies. It will take us moving beyond the fear to do certain things. You understand today that self-motivation will help you to be in action, to move beyond the fear. You also understand that fear could be overcome by what you say to yourself and how you can look at fear as faith eventually attracts resources. I want to give you, though, 3 specific techniques to combine with what I've already shared with you. And I want you to use this very first technique. In order to face your fear and to do things anyway, I want you to make certain that you learn to love change. Change. Some of us can adapt to change much better than others. Others of us, we somewhat struggle with change. I want you to tell me inside of the chat box, give me a rating here, and let me tell you what scale I want you to use. If it was a scale of 1 to 10, on a scale of 1 to 10, what rating would you give yourself on the ability to love change? What rating would you give yourself on your ability to love change? On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being on the low end, 10 being on the high end. What rating would you give yourself for your ability to love change? I'm loving the answers that are coming in because I'm seeing some really true responses. Primarily, I'm seeing 7 and 8s coming in and some 9s, and that's a good thing. 7, 8s, and 9s. Yet I see some of my counterparts in the room where I see some 4s and some 5s. Hey, thank you for being honest there, because that was me a few years ago. Oh, change? Oh my goodness, didn't do well with it. I had a mentor that said to me, if you're eventually going to change your entire career, how on earth are you going to do that if you don't like change, if you don't do well with change? He said, your entire world is going to change if and when you step away from a full-time job to become a full-time entrepreneur. He said, you have to start building up your change tolerance. I hadn't thought about it from that perspective. And I'm glad he called me on the carpet on that. And I'm glad he did, to the point where it really did make me think, how can I learn to love change? How can I like change? How can I deal with change? And Demetrius, you are absolutely right. The only thing that is constant is change. I did one better for myself. Something along the line of what you said, Demetrius. Yanni, you're right. Change is hard. Because I knew change for me at that time, I was finding it difficult. I came up with a personal mantra. You know, I'm a quotes person. And at that time, I had quotes written on index cards and posted everywhere, at home, in my bathroom mirror, on my kitchen refrigerator, above my computer monitor. And one day on my train ride to work, as I was contemplating my hesitancy with change, the phrase, change is life and life is change, popped into my head. I took out my journal and I wrote it down. Change is life and life is change. On my way to work from the train station, meaning I was walking from the train station to my actual office, and that phrase kept coming up. Change is life and life is change. By the time I made it to work, into the building that day and at my desk, I felt a sense of peace in recognizing that's so true. Change is life. Life is change. Nothing stays the same. I have to learn to appreciate that. So I call that my personal mantra. You say you got better after you read the book, Who Moved My Cheese? That's good, Yanni. Yeah. And see, and I love that. You found something that inspired you, that book inspired you to be able to understand that change is okay. It's a good thing to experience change. And for some of us, in the roles we have in our jobs, the roles that we have with our families, we do really well with change. I didn't always do so. I had to learn to love change, recognizing that life is change. Change is life and life is change. We have 4 seasons in Illinois. I know you all are in Georgia. You still have some different changes that happen. You don't have maybe the snow that we get in Chicago, yet you do have those 40-degree temperatures. You don't always have that 102-degree weather, right? So you do still experience some changes. Even in Toastmasters, we experience those changes. I want you to remember, part of having self-motivation is to be flexible, adaptable, understanding that change can be beneficial for you. That's a change in and of itself when you use self-motivation to move beyond your fear. So learn to love change. That is technique number 1, to feel your fear and do things anyway. Let's talk about technique number 2. Technique number 2, actually, Demetrius, you touched on this earlier. Rod, you touched on this before as well. And I think even Yanni in her group example touched on this too. And here's technique number 2. Feed your subconscious mind. Feeding your subconscious mind is simply a way of reminding us to use the power of affirmations, use the power of strong words to make certain that you can tell yourself the right messages in order to move beyond your fear. Think about feeding your subconscious mind as a way of also having the right thoughts about situations. Remember, sometimes the fear that we have about a situation is because of the things we've been thinking, and what we've been thinking may not be based in facts, or it may not be based in truth. It may be based in what's imagined. Being mindful of your thoughts. Affirmations usually are that number 1 go-to recommendation for feeding your subconscious mind to ensure that you're giving yourself the right things to think about. Think of your affirmation that you say on a regular basis to get yourself above and beyond a moment of stress or fear. What is that phrase that you tell yourself? What's that affirmation that you use? And if you don't have an affirmation, get one. Think about a positive present tense statement that you can use, that you can share with yourself. You can create that statement. You can borrow that statement. When you use a quote, when you use a title of a song, when you use an affirmation bracelet, like "you got this," you're borrowing a phrase, and that's okay as well. Yet you want to make certain that you can create that affirmation that can make sure that the thoughts you're thinking are right about your abilities and the situation. So that way you can move beyond. I heard someone say today, earlier this morning on one of the talk shows, he said, the dumbest thing I've ever heard is the phrase, "fake it until you make it." He said, you don't want to fake it until you make it, because you might be found out as a fraud. That made me chuckle, because I've heard people not appreciating the phrase "fake it until you make it." But I have heard many people who have used that phrase "fake it till you make it," and it actually has worked for them. Well, I like a variation on the phrase. Maybe not "fake it until you make it." I like Amy Cuddy's phrase in her book, Presence. She actually said, "Fake it until you become it." Demetrius, you think you'll like that one better? I see you nodding, Jennifer. I see that. Fake it until you become it. We can replace "fake it until you make it" with "fake it until you become it." Or we can create our own phrase altogether. So let me backtrack for a moment, because I am curious. Has anyone ever used an affirmation that helps you to feed your subconscious mind? And if so, what's your affirmation that you use that you can share? Oh, good, Jennifer. Thank you. You say you like that one better. Go for it, Jennifer. I see your hand. Take it away.
The affirmation that I use is actually a scripture. "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me."
Yeah, see, good. That's a great one. That's one of the most common scriptures that is borrowed as an affirmation. I love that. Yeah. Good. Look at Demetrius. He's putting comments in the chat box. I appreciate that, Demetrius. You said, now you like that one. Good. Anyone else with an affirmation that you use, an affirmation that you find helps you to move beyond your fear? Jennifer shared hers. You got this, I shared earlier, that bracelet. I am confident and capable to handle this role. I know that was an affirmation I had to say to myself when that president of that first club asked me to be the secretary treasurer of the club. I was like, I've only been here 6 months. Why are they asking me to do this role? How do I do this role? I'm not even sure what the role is or what the roles are. And I started to tell myself, I am confident and capable and I can do this role. I am confident and capable and I can do this role. Even as I was walking down the hallway, getting all the books from the previous secretary and treasurer and looking at all the reading I had to do and trying to figure things out, and even going to the train that evening, thinking about this role, and people are counting on me to take this role. And I want to do a good job. I don't want to mislead them in thinking my abilities won't work. I want them to know that I can handle this, but I really have no clue. And I'm not even sure if they really should be asking me. They should be asking a seasoned person, but no, they believe in me. So, hey, Cassandra, you are confident and capable and you can do this role. I am confident and capable. I can do this role. That's eventually what I started to say. Shay, I like what you say here. You can do it and you're ready to take this challenge on. Yes, look at that exclamation mark. Boom, sealing the deal on that. You can, and let me emphasize the words correctly, because you say you can do it and you're ready to take this challenge on. Boom. Hey, I love that. And notice I reread it purposefully with the emphasis on the words that you emphasize, because again, when we're saying an affirmation, we want to say it with conviction. We want to say it with that emphasis because there's an expectation to what we're putting out there in the world as well. And that is, we want to overcome the fear and make things happen. Feed your subconscious mind on a regular basis with the words and the thoughts that appropriately empower you. Now, finally, here's the last thought. The third technique to make certain that you can face your fear and do it anyway is to get an accountability partner. Toastmasters International has a belief in mentors. In the mentoring program for Toastmasters International, it's the opportunity for new members to receive a partner from the experience of a seasoned members. Yet with the new Pathways program, seasoned members can also receive a mentor as well. Mentor, coach, protege. Those are phrases that the Toastmasters mentoring program talks about. Toastmasters wants us to understand that it is about having experienced people helping you to achieve your long-term goals, which a mentor can help you to do, or even your short-term goals. And that's what a coach would do. Tell me inside of the chat box if you have used in your base camp of your Pathways, if you've completed the Toastmasters mentoring program, or the Toastmasters mentor program. Tell me if you've done that program. Give me a yes or no. Level 2, everyone goes through the introduction to Toastmasters mentoring. Good, Yanni. After level 2 is done, right in between level 2 and level 3, there's a special Pathways mentor program. Good, Cheryl. Glad to know you're working on it. That program is going to give you an accountability partner for a very specific goal. You could use that program as a way to establish accountability partners for various tasks or activities or projects that you're working on. And you will find that the structure of the Toastmasters mentoring program will be beneficial for that. Getting an accountability partner, I'm right now looking at it from the Toastmaster standpoint, yet I want to look at it beyond Toastmasters as well. Accountability partners are those individuals who will help to encourage you, support you, and challenge you. So that's what I want you to consider as far as an accountability partner is concerned. They may be someone you live with, someone that you work with. They can help to support you, encourage you, and challenge you. Yet if you're really using the Pathways Mentor program right after the Toastmasters introduction assignment, you'll get that built-in accountability partner for your next upcoming project. So I want you to consider, who can I have as an accountability partner? Who am I working with right now that could be an accountability partner? Who would I like to work with as an accountability partner? And let me not just simply throw those questions out at you as a hypothetical question. Let me give you a moment to actually think about that and to answer it. I want you to think about 2 individuals that you can think of who can assist you in the capacity as an accountability partner. Who could you ask to encourage you, support you, challenge you, check up on you as you're working toward a certain task, activity, project, or a goal? Who are those individuals? I want you to think about 2 people, and when you have them in your mind, put inside of the chat box who they are. Now, of course, if you tell me names, I won't know who they are. So you can tell me relationships. You can say sister, best friend, co-worker, Toastmaster member. Good. Your manager at work and your Toastmaster mentor, Yanni. Yes. Good. Yeah. I know some of us belong to mastermind groups. Those individuals help as well in being accountability partners too. So whether they are your spouse, your best friend, a family member, good. I see that. Your mentor, as well as your flute coach. Thanks, Jackie. Thanks, Cheryl. You said your mentor and your hubby. Good. Yes. The work manager at work, the Toastmaster member, the Toastmaster mentor, the daughter and the friend, the best friend and the Toastmaster mentor. This is fantastic. Figuring out who we have as our accountability partners definitely come in handy. Now, if you are a leader of a club, you have an indirect accountability team. Those fellow club officers are your accountability partners as well. If you are coaching a club, mentoring a club, sponsoring a club, those are indirect accountability partners as well. They are there to support you, encourage you, challenge you, check up on you, give you the opportunity to move forward and make progress on things. They're also there to stand in the gap and make sure you don't get stuck with fear. Your accountability partners are around you everywhere. What I appreciate that you did a moment ago is that you started to bring to life for not only me, primarily for yourself, who your accountability partners are. As I said, that is technique number 3, to make certain that when you feel the fear, you can move beyond the fear and you can do things anyway. You're making sure besides the accountability partner, you're using everything that you've learned tonight. And speaking of that, let's recount. I know that we talked about a few things. We started with gaining an understanding of self-motivation. Self-motivation, if you remember what that definition was, go ahead and either say it out loud, you can unmute and you can speak it, or put it inside of the chat box for me. Self-motivation. What was that all about? So I'll give you an opportunity to review your notes and tell me what you remember about self-motivation. Look at you, Bettina. Yes, there you go. You got the essence of it. Absolutely. Self-motivation is having that initiative, right? To undertake or continue a task or an activity without, as you said, Bettina, without being prompted, without being prodded, without being supervised. Absolutely. Thank you. You got that. Fear. We talked about fear. You guessed the definition of fear. And we know that fear is a strong what? What's a strong what? Thanks, Jennifer. You're welcome. Yeah, Yanni, emotion, that unpleasant emotion. Fear is that unpleasant emotion, right? It's often a strong emotion and it is caused by anticipation or awareness of danger. We know self-motivation can help us to overcome fear or to move beyond fear. And how does self-motivation help us to move beyond fear? What was that secret that allows us to move beyond fear? Type that inside of the chat. There you go. Action. Yes. Yanni, I love that exclamation mark. Yes, action. We talked about getting busy, being in action, having movement, getting things done. We are adding to those thoughts regarding having action and being able to do things without being prodded. We're going to use very specific techniques. That first technique that I mentioned that you can use to move beyond fear, do you remember what that first technique was? There were 3 of them. Give me the ones that you remember. So that first one, yeah, learn to love change. Thanks, Yanni. Learn to love change. And that's why I share my personal mantra. Change is life and life is change. Whether we like it or not, things are not staying the same. And if we understand that changes will occur, that can assist us with not being stuck or fearful when changes are happening. Yeah, Shay, you got number 2. Thank you for that. Feed your subconscious mind was technique number 2. What was the primary way that I said we could feed our subconscious mind? Does anyone remember that? Feeding our subconscious mind. Yeah, mantras, Rod, is one of them. Yep, positive mantras, affirmations. Yes, affirmations. Affirmations, mantras, all of those are simply allowing us to watch what we're thinking. We're feeding our thoughts with different messages. That way we can have our subconscious mind thinking about positive things instead. Let's wrap it up. What was that final technique? Technique number 3 gives us the opportunity to do what? Engage an accountability partner. Bettina, look at you, 3 for 3, knocking it out the park there. Yes, having that accountability partner, absolutely. As we mentioned, here in the Toastmaster environment, mentors definitely play a part, yet each of you recognize you don't only have people in Toastmasters to help you. You have your friends, your daughter, your hubby, your coworker, your boss, your supervisor who can help you as well. Self-motivation is the secret that allows us to face our fears and do it anyway. We don't get to where we are never encountering fear. Oh, we're going to encounter fear. It's how do we face it and move beyond it? In closing, I like this quote from Eleanor Roosevelt. She says that you gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. Like, hello, what's up? I'm here. I feel you. I know you exist, but guess what? I'm moving around you so I can move on. And that's when she ends her quote by saying, you must do the thing which you think you cannot do. You must do the thing you think you cannot do. I am so grateful that I took on that challenge from that club president who asked me June of 1998. I became a member of Toastmasters in January of 1998. By May or June, they were asking if I would be the secretary treasurer. I was hesitating. I was feeling the pit of my stomach being all turned upside down, unsure, doubtful, not really clear what to do. A stack of manuals in both hands, the stress on my forehead as I'm talking to people about it. Yet eventually, I faced the fear. When I read through those manuals and highlighted information, when I talked to people about the role and got answers, when I was able to feel more confident about my level of understanding, I said, oh, yeah, I can do it. So it was as if I said, oh, yeah, I'm here. I understand I don't feel comfortable about this, but I know I can do this. And I'm going to take on this role to stretch myself in order to make things happen. If I had not done that, I would not be where I am today. Toastmasters has truly been that mentor, professional development resource, the challenge opportunity for me since 1998. And I encourage each of you to think about what you're learning here in Toastmasters and how you can transfer it, as Jennifer said, transfer it into the real world with what you're doing. And for every time you overcome fear in Toastmasters, recognize that's a cheering opportunity for you to know you can do it in your personal life and your professional life as well. I want to thank each of you for your time, your comments, and your feedback. And if you have any questions, we have a few minutes remaining. I am more than happy to share some responses with you. I'm also going to put inside of the chat box for you a survey link. That way you can give me some feedback on tonight's presentation. I talked about Pathways Mentoring. That's what this survey link will direct you to. It's a Pathways evaluation, which allows me to receive Pathways credit for this presentation. Look at that. I knew Rod would get excited about that. Therefore, let me stop the screen share. I'll be available to answer questions as I put the link inside of the chat box. The floor is open. Whoever would like to ask the first question. Thank you.
No questions. Wow. Okay. Well, that's good, I guess. That means you did a great job with the information. Everybody's got tons and tons of notes that they are going to refer to. They've already got those affirmations worked out in their minds and probably have already started using them. So that is awesome. Well, as we conclude, if you want to just drop one thing in the chat that you're going to take away from this session, one thing that you're going to take back to your club, or you're going to take back to your families, or to your club officer committee, one thing that you learned that you're going to take back. We want to see those things that you guys learned tonight. Cassandra, thank you so much for coming to our district and putting on this presentation. It has been very insightful, even for me as a district leader. I'm getting angst thinking about the upcoming district director role. I start shaking, and if all goes well, I'll be district director next year. But this has truly helped me to be able to quell some of the fears that even I have within myself. And so thank you so much. That faith eventually attracts resources. I am writing that on a sticky and putting it next to my bathroom. I promise I'm going to use that every day. All right. Well, I see a few things that were put in the chat. Work on feeding my subconscious mind, leveraging accountability partners. Yanni said this is a good subject for a speech. Absolutely it is. Well, thank you everyone for attending this evening. Please share this with your clubs. The recording will be available and sent out in our next newsletter. Our website is going through a redesign. Hopefully it'll be coming up in a few days, but we will post the videos to all of our workshops this year on our website under the video resources, so that you can go back and play this back and look at it and take all the notes that you need to. With that being said, I hope you all have an awesome rest of your day. Don't forget, December the 10th is our winter TLI. Register. We have the amazing, our international president, Matt Kinsey, will be our keynote speaker. So you absolutely don't want to miss out on this opportunity. I look forward to seeing you all in the future, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care, everyone.